Okay, this is the Unit 3 review for the level test. Alright, so on the first part we're kind of backtracking and we're going to look at things that we kind of learned in Unit 2. So we're kind of talking about the vertex, the same idea. So this is the vertex, and it is located at 1, 2, 3. So it's located at 3, 2. Okay, I can tell that it's going to have a maximum because it's on top. And also, so it's a maximum. Now, if I write the equation, I'm writing it in that vertex form. So y equals a x minus h squared plus k. So what I'm trying to do is I'm filling in the a, the h, and the k. Now, my vertex here, this is my h and this is my k. Alright, so what I have is I have y equals, it's a maximum, it's kind of sad, and then when it's sad it's negative, okay? So, and then I have x minus the h, which is 3, squared, because it's a quadratic, that's a positive 2, so plus 2. Alright, now, the axis of symmetry, if I draw a line here, it's at x equals 3, which is the first part of your vertex, that's your AOS, your axis of symmetry. Alright, my domain all day long is negative infinity to infinity. And now the range, notice, it's going to go down forever and ever, so that would be negative infinity all the way up to here, which is 2, and with a bracket because it stops there. Alright, on the next one, number 2, it says for the function negative 3 times x plus 10 squared minus 11, what is the max or min value? Well, first of all, this has a maximum, and the reason I know the maximum is because of that negative right there. Now, the value of it is negative 11. The axis of symmetry is this part right here. Now remember, everything in there is the opposite, so it's actually going to be negative 10. This one here, because it's a maximum and it's negative, that means it's sad. So it opens down. And how did you know? Because the a value is a negative. And there's my a value, the negative right there. Okay, on number 3, it says, what is the vertex and axis symmetry for the graph? Now, there's two different ways to do this. I could do it the really simple way. And the real simple way would just be put it in your calculator. And if I go look at the table, I'm looking for the repeating pattern. And there it is. And that's my repeating pattern. You'll notice it's surrounded by negative 36s, so in between there is the vertex. So my vertex is negative 5, negative 37. Now, just like before, this negative 5 here, that's your AOS. So x equals negative 5 for the axis of symmetry. Now, if you're going to do it by hand, you have to use that x equals negative b divided by 2a. My a value is 1, and my b value is 10. So I would have negative 10 divided by 2 times 1, which gives me negative 10 divided by 2, which is negative 5. Now, at that point, what I would do is I'm going to take this negative 5, and I'm going to substitute it in for the x's here, because that's what I just solved for in x. So I would have negative 5 squared plus 10 times negative 5 minus 12. So that gives me 25 minus 50 minus 12. That gives me 25 minus 62, which is negative 37. And there it is there, negative 5, negative 37. Now, this would actually end up being my minimum value, and the reason I know it's a minimum is because of that positive 1. Alright, on the next one, they want you to use completing the square to convert the equation into vertex form, and then what is the max min value? Okay, so for completing the square, I want to put parentheses around these first two. So x squared minus 6x blank, because I'm going to create a number there, plus 3 blank. Now, to find that blank, I have to do b divided by 2 squared. Okay, well my b is negative 6, just like up here how I identified the b. So I have negative 6 divided by 2 squared. That gives me negative 3 squared, which is 9. So I'm going to add 9 here, but then I'm going to subtract 9 here. So what I now have is, I know in the back I'm going to have a negative 6, because 3 and negative 9 is negative 6. Okay, and then in here I'm trying to figure out what two numbers will multiply to get 9 and then combine to get negative 6. Well, there it is, my negative 3. So in here I'm going to have x minus 3. So my vertex here would be 3, negative 6. They want to know the max min value. This will have a min value because the a is positive, and the min value is that negative 6. Now, if you're going to do it with the calculator, you would do x squared. Oops, y'all can't see that. Okay, I'm just going to clear all that. You're going to do x squared minus 6x plus 3. And then I'm going to go look for my vertex. Okay, there it is. Again, it's surrounded by the two negative 5s. And so we had already said it was 3, negative 6, so you put the 3 in, the negative 6. And then again, my a value is 1, and that's why I don't need to put anything right there. Okay, on the next one here, it says a cannonball is launched upward at 64 feet per second from a platform 80 feet high. According to the equation, h of t equals negative 16t squared plus 64t plus 80. What will be the cannonball's maximum height? Now, I could just put it in here, and I could get negative 16x squared plus 64x plus 80. Alright, so I'm going to go look at my table and see if I can find my vertex. It may come out nice, it may not. Oh, actually it comes out real nice. Look how it's surrounded by the 128s. So my vertex here is 2, 144. Now, this t here was really an x. This is my x and this is my y. So this actually represents the time. And then this represents your maximum height. So at 2 seconds is when the cannonball reaches its maximum height of 144. All right, on the next one it says write the vertex form of the parabola whose vertex is 2, negative 2. It goes to the point 4, 6 and opens upward. Now, they wanted in vertex form. So what that means is my final answer needs to be that vertex form. So what I need to find is I need to find my A, my H, and my K. Now, they gave me the vertex, so they gave me the H and the K. So the only thing I'm really finding is I'm finding out what the A is. Okay, so to do that, they've actually given me this other point, which is an X and a Y. So really, I have 4 pieces of information. So they gave me the H and the K, okay? They gave me the X and the Y. So really, the only variable left to find would be that A. All right, so the Y is 6, so 6 equals A. 4 is X minus 2 squared minus 2. And if I start working that out, I get A, I get 2 squared minus 2. That gives me 6 equals 4A minus 2, and I'm just going to keep solving it. And I know that A equals 2. Alright, so to write in vertex form, I would now have Y equals the A value, so right there, 2. And then I would have X minus the H, which is 2. And then another minus 2. Alright, it says, on number 7, it says, create an equation for each of the following that would have these characteristics, a maximum vertex and an axis symmetry at x equals negative 2. Well, if it's a maximum, I know the A value is negative. I know that this is my H, okay, the axis symmetry is your H, so x plus 2 squared. And then I'm just going to throw in another number here. And so that could be an example. All right, the next one, this is actually my h and my k, and it's a minimum. So I know the y value is a positive, so I'm going to put like a positive 3. And now I have x, and here I'm going to have x minus 3 squared plus 5. All right, on this one here, it says a vertex at 3, negative 4, and opens downward. So again, I know it opens downward, so I know the a value is negative, so I'll put like negative 1/2. Okay, and then I'm going to have x, this is a positive, so minus 3 squared minus 4. Okay, so on the back of the review, they're giving us a word problem. It says a wolf made a leap and the following data points were collected with the x values representing time in seconds and the y values representing distance in feet. Write a quadratic equation to model the path of the wolf's jump. Round to the nearest hundredth when necessary. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a table of the values they gave me. So 0, 0, 0.46, and 0.7, 0.2. So I'll need to run a quadratic regression. So stat edit. I'm going to have 0, 0.4, 0.7. And then I'm also over here, I will have 0, 6, and 0.2. Alright, so stat calc, we're doing quad regs this whole time. Make sure you're doing a quad reg, not a len, quad. Alright, and that's my equation. Alright, so here, I'm going to round to the hundredths. So if y equals negative 49.05 x squared plus 34.62 x, and then there's not a c value, so plus 0. Okay, and then it says, how high do you estimate the wolf was at or after a half a second from the beginning of the jump? Okay, so what I could do is x is going to be my time. So what I could do here is I can come down here, and I'm going to type that in. So negative 49.05, now it said half a second, so 0.5 squared, x is my time. Okay, plus 34.62, and again, that half second because x is my time, and that's what I get. So in half a second, the dog's about 5.05 feet from the beginning. Alright, on the next one it says, use the following data from a quadratic regression model for the data, round to the nearest hundredth when necessary. What does the model predict for the y-intercept? Now, for the y-intercept, it's important to remember that this is your y-intercept. That c value. So when you do your quad reg, that c value is your y-intercept. Alright, so I'm going to go back to stat edit, and I'm going to type in this table. So it looks like it's just doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then I'm going to come back up here. And I'm going to have 20.4, 60.5, 86.8, 122.4, 180.4, 241.2, and 420.8. Okay, so again, I'm going to do a quad reg. And that's what I get. So again, I'm going to round to the hundredths because it is necessary because I'm not going to write all that. Alright, so y equals 10.89 x squared. That's a negative, so minus 27.97x, and then here's my y-intercept, plus 55.87. So again, that's my y-intercept. Alright, on the next one, it says a parabola has an axis of symmetry at x equals 4 and goes through the point 2, 1, and 5, 7 and opens downward. Okay, so I'm going to draw myself just a little So this is going to be just like my axis of symmetry, x equals 4. And then I notice they give me the point 5, 7. So far I have 2, 1, and I have 5, 7, but I need that third point to run that quadratic regression. Okay, so I'm going to pretend like this is the point 5, 7. And notice I don't even really need to use a coordinate plane here. Well, if I reflect that point over x equals 4, I'm at 5, 4, so 3. So this is 3, 7. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my calculator. I'm going to run my regression. Okay, so I've got 2, 5, 3, and then I have 1, 7, 7. So again, doing a quad reg, and I get, in standard form, I'm going to have negative 2, so y equals negative 2x squared plus 16x minus 23. Okay, now if I write it in vertex form, I'm going to have y equals negative 2. But that's the only information I have so far. So what I'm going to have to now do is, one way would be to go to standard form, or go to y equals, type in that standard form equation. And I'm going to go to my table, and I'm going to look for my vertex. Alright, here it is. Vertex is 4, 9. It's surrounded by the 2 7s. So because my vertex is 4, 9, that's my h and my k, I'm going to have x minus 4, and then the k would be plus 9. Alright, down here, this is our math review. So you could do this two different ways. You could do it this way, or you could do it this way. Some people do prefer the box. I'll do the box. So you've got 2x minus 3. I have 5x and 2. So in this box, I have 10x squared. This box, I would have negative 15x. And just make sure you're multiplying each of them. A lot of people think you're adding, but you're multiplying. 2 times 2 is 4x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Alright, this is what I combine because they both have x's. So my final answer is 10x squared minus 11x minus 6. Alright, now down here on number 12 says what two numbers have a product, remember that means to multiply, and a sum of negative 11. Alright, so here I'm trying to figure out what two numbers will multiply to get negative 60. And then the sum, when I add them, needs to be negative 11. Alright, so I'm going to go and actually write all the ways to get 60. I could do 1 and 60. I can do 2 and 30. I can do 3 and 20. I can do 4 and 15. I can do 5 and 12. I can do 6 and 10. And is there anything with 7? Can't do 7. Can't do 8. Can't do 9. I could do 10 though, so 10 and 6. And I think that's about it. Alright, now I'm trying to see which one of these can I manipulate to get 11. There's no way I can manipulate that to get 11. There's no way I can manipulate that to get 11. Nor there. Here I can only get like a 17 or a 7 if I add or subtract. Here I can only get a 16 or a 4, and same thing here. So those are my numbers right there. Alright, now I need a negative 11. So that means I have to have more negatives. So negative 15 plus 4 will give me a negative 11. And also negative 15 times 4 will give me negative 60. Okay, on this one here, I'm going to simplify. So this is the way I think y'all learn in geometry. So I know that 12 times 9 will give me 108. So I'm going to keep on breaking this down until I get down to my prime numbers. Okay, and now I notice I have more 3s, so I'm going to make more groups of 3s. Okay, and now I'm going to start grouping what I have. So here, I notice I have one group of 3, and I have one group of 2 here. So this is a 3, one group of 3. So 3. On the inside, I'm going to have 2 times 3 is 6, times 2 is 12. But then I kind of notice I can break this down more. So I can get 4 and 3 and 2 and 2. There's another group. So that could be a 2. So that can, I can multiply that 2 by 6. That's 6, and then 3. Okay, if you need any help, make sure you talk to your teacher. That's pretty much the review. Really make sure you understand that when you're looking at that vertex, this is very important. When you're looking at that H and that K, you have got to remember that that first part is your AOS. And then this part is your min, if the A is positive, okay? And then this is a max if the A is negative, okay? You really have to remember that. And then also remember that your axis symmetry is always an x equals, x equals, x equals, x equals. All right, I hope that helps you. Good luck.